Kris Boyd has spoken out about his former club Rangers, and he's probably issued the biggest insult that he possibly could. He has compared them to Manchester United. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. Kris Boyd, he's had enough. He's not happy with Clement. He is going on the attack. He's sick of Clement's excuses, and he has compared him to Man United and Ten Hag. Now, what did Clement and Ten Hag have in common? Well, they're both bald, they're both underachieving at their clubs, and both of their teams play absolutely shite football. So it turns out they've got quite a lot in common, and maybe Kris Boyd is right to draw that comparison. However, he has published an article basically just saying that he's had enough of Clement's excuses. He doesn't necessarily think that Clement is going to get things right, and he doesn't think it's a good time for Rangers, and he's compared them to Manchester United. And I can definitely see the comparison. Both teams struggling, both teams miles behind their current rivals. So, yeah, I agree with Kris Boyd. But anyway, let's get into what he actually said. So, Boyd said in his article, and it's a pretty long one, I quote, "There's something to be admired about Brendan Rodgers' stubborn refusal to tone down his tactics in European away games. Despite losing 7-1 in Dortmund, he insists his steadfast belief that he can beat the best with Celtic does not make him a dreamer. In that way, he reminds me of his Parkhead predecessor, Ange Postecoglou, who simply refuses to take a more pragmatic approach in any game. But if parallels can be drawn between Brendan and Big Ange, I can also see similarities between Philippe Clement and Erik Ten Hag. Rangers and Manchester United are two teams in the same boat right now. They win a game and suddenly they are on their way back. Then the next mishap is just around the corner. When Rangers won in Malmo 9 days ago, it was liftoff. But they were outplayed in the second half by Hibs last Sunday and simply outclassed by Lyon at Ibrox on Thursday night. Yes, Gers might beat St Johnstone on Sunday night and raise hopes during the 2-week international break, but who would bet on them winning at Rugby Park, winning at Pittodrie, seeing off Steaua Bucharest, or winning the Premier Sports Cup semi-final against Motherwell at Hampden? Maybe Nadim Barami or Tom Lawrence can find a spark of inspiration, but Gers never dominate or control games, and they were simply taken apart by Lyon in the Europa League. A bit like Ten Hag after United lost to Postecoglou's Spurs and then snatched a late point against Porto. It's excuse after excuse from Clement. I don't like it. If you look below the bonnet at Rangers, you ask which players have actually improved under the Belgian boss. He spent money, brought in his own players, but I don't see where it's all going. Just like Ten Hag, it looks like the inevitable is only a few months away. What was Clement doing trying to claim John Souttar's handball wasn't a penalty against Hibs? It's as clear a penalty as you'll see. It was incredible to try and put forward a case to say that's not a spot kick. He was even jumping around his post-match press conference. My rule of thumb in these moments is, would Walter Smith do it? If the answer is no, then it's not the right thing to do. There are too many excuses coming from Clement at the moment, and I reckon a lot of them are preempted. I don't remember Giovanni Van Bronckhorst moaning about things when Rangers were reaching a European final 2.5 years ago. I just don't see any progression at Ibrox or Old Trafford, and it seems both clubs are simply delaying the inevitable. We're nearly 3 months into the season, and fans would struggle to name the strongest Gers team. That's not a good situation. Mind you, Celtic's 7-1 defeat in Dortmund was just as abysmal as Gers' 4-1 home loss to Lyon, but the reality is that Celts will go away with the Borussia battering because they will probably do to Ross County what they did to St Johnstone last weekend. They have enormous credit for their domestic dominance in recent years under Rodgers and Ange and deserve every word of it. But this Celtic team was being built up as being ready to do something in Europe, and they suffered a real fall in Dortmund. Yes, they might still qualify for the next phase of the Champions League, with home wins over Club Brugge and Young Boys, and maybe something against RB Leipzig at Parkhead. But it baffles me that Rodgers won't change one little bit and is determined to do it his way regardless of the outcome. He's now presided over 3 of the 4 worst results in Celtic European history 7-goal beatings by Barcelona, PSG and Dortmund. I speak to Celtic fans and they tell me it's not much fun forking out their hard-earned cash to watch a performance and result like that. I know we're comparing different eras, but Martin O'Neill, Gordon Strachan and Neil Lennon advanced in Europe by finding a way to win or draw against the elite. I got to the last 16 of the Champions League with Rangers under Alex McLeish, but we were never going gung-ho, never tried to take on the best at their own game. We drew with the Barca side of Lionel Messi, Xavi, Andres Iniesta and Ronaldinho by working hard, not trying to play flamboyant football. We beat a decent Lyon team on their own patch too, although Karim Benzema and co did get their own back at Ibrox, but we recovered from a 3-goal home defeat by Lyon to reach a Euro final the same season. I don't fancy a repeat from this Gers team. By the way, well done to the stand-in boss Liam Fox and his Hearts team for doing their bit for the coefficient by beating Dynamo Minsk. We all needed that result. End of quote. So, there you go. Boyd ripping into Clement, comparing him to Ten Hag, which is not a good comparison. Nobody wants to be compared to Ten Hag. He then couldn't resist from taking a little dig at Celtic and Brendan Rodgers before giving some credit to Hearts after their win in Azerbaijan. But nah, man, I agree with Boyd. I don't think Rangers are going anywhere under Clement, and I just see this ending in disaster. I just see Clement either, this season, I think it will be this season, if not this season, next season, he's just going to get sacked because there is no progression. It's just, Rangers will play poor, they'll drop points, they'll get a bad result against them. Then they'll go into the next game, they'll maybe pick up a couple of victories in a row, and it will be, the whole narrative is, the Rangers are coming. And they're not coming. You win a couple of games in a row, and it doesn't mean shit. Because every time we see Rangers in the big games, they disappoint. When it really matters, they don't deliver. So yeah, sick of the excuses, I think. Clement is really, I think, losing the plot. With that whole John Souttar thing, he was adamant that wasn't a penalty. Even doing dancing and throwing his arms and kicking his legs up in the air in the press conference. It's like, what is this guy doing, man? Is he losing the plot? I think he might be. So, anyway, guys, there's Kris Boyd having a go at Clement. I think Clement will be away, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone before Christmas. Depends. I think if he drops a couple more points, maybe one more defeat or 2 more draws, something like that in the league. If Celtic keep winning and he falls further behind, then it will be au revoir. But then again, the club just gave him, that new contract. I mean, what was the point in that? I'm not sure if it was already agreed upon, but I just don't get it. I look at Ten Hag, I look at Clement, both guys doing a really poor job in charge of 2 massive clubs. They should be doing better. I mean, Rangers and Man United, I'm not saying they should be number 1 in their leagues, but there's no excuse to be as far off as they are. You look at Man United, barely look like a team that can finish in the top half. I mean, you look at Rangers, they might be able to finish second, but they're a distant second, so it's just not good enough. Both managers need to improve, and I think Kris Boyd is right with the comparisons. Anyway, guys, that's it. Ten Hag's probably going to have a healthier bank balance when he gets sacked for United, because his payout's going to be a lot bigger. Maybe that's where the comparisons ends when you check the figures in their accounts. But anyway, guys, that's it. Let us know what you think down below. We'll catch you in the next one. Been Fog Football. Thanks for watching. Make sure you leave a like and a comment as well, and subscribe if you haven't, and also follow us on Twitter. Why the heck not? Be generous, guys. And I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.